Okay, sorry, cut me off. So the last one was number 12, and this was about the photoelectric spectrum, the idea that, not photoelectric spectrum, the idea that if you shoot enough energy into an atom, it could shoot electrons out, or it could just vibrate the molecule and all this and that. So that's kind of like a memorize thing. One, I think that's going to be a multiple choice test, and that is not what the AP test is this year. It's about free response. So two, the AP test is basically going to be an open note test. I'm going to talk about more of this after we learn more about it tomorrow night, but basically it's going to be open note text. So this idea, the idea that you have to memorize microwave photons, do rotational instead of vibrational, that, you know, that's going to be something you don't need to memorize because you're just going to put on your little note card and we'll deal with it from there. So don't worry about that one. The last part, so that basically says number 12, if you got it wrong, it's okay. I'm going to solve it for you when we make our note card. It was about free response. And our free response question talked about how molecules, when they move, what happens. So describe the effect of raising the temperature on the motion. And most people were talking about that they would move faster. Half of the people were talking about the average speed. So I want to make sure you either put in two things, like the kinetic energy increases. That would cover it because temperature is directly related to kinetic energy. Or two, you have to talk about average speed. You can't just say they speed up because not every single molecule is going to speed up. On average, they are, but not every single one. It might seem like a nitpicky thing, but honestly, this is the free response question. That's all we have on the AP test. And they could be nitpicky all they want. So I'm going to nitpick everything. We've got to make our words right because every point's going to count. So be careful. Either say average speed or increase in kinetic energy. One of the two. Not just say speed. And then also about pressure. So most of the time when we talked about pressure, the pressure would increase because the molecules are moving faster. And the pressure increases because most people just say it hits the sides more often. But it's about hitting the sides more often and about hitting the sides with a greater force. So it's two things in one. I've seen questions where they force you to answer both parts, but they don't necessarily say provide two reasons. So make sure you get the two reasons down there. It's about hitting it harder and hitting it more often, both of those things. Now in the scoring document here, it didn't say that you had to have both parts. But when I look at regular AP tests, I can see that you need to have both parts. So I disagree with this answer key, even though this is straight up from the AP College Board, too risky. We did awesome on the math part, so rocking on that. Somebody did ask about negative boiling point. So one of the questions here, I don't want to say question 2, talked about a negative boiling point. Negative boiling point means it just is really cold when it's boiling. So that means it's cold when it boils at negative 126. That means it goes into the gas state really fast. So we rarely see ammonia, NH3, in anything, or pH3 in anything but as a gas. The more negative you are for your boiling point, the easier it is to become a gas. The easier it is to become a gas is because you don't have a lot of traction, dear friend. That means you have a low intermolecular force attraction. So that's what that means. Nothing else other than that funny about negative boiling points. Just a really low boiling point is a negative boiling point. Must not be attracted to their friends. Low IMF. Easy to boil. Some of you are making bread. Good for you. My little trick for making bread is take a cup of flour, about 10 ounces of water, and like a quarter teaspoon of yeast. Put it in a cup, like stir it all around, and a little bit of honey, like a tablespoon of honey, and keep it in the fridge overnight. Bake bread the next day. That just like gets things going the night before and actually makes a better bread. There you go, tip of the day. That is not the tip that I was going to give you, or your fun fact of the day. I drew you a pigeon before. This is hard to show you. So here's my pigeon. And here's also my pigeon. And I want to show you animation. Are you ready? Do you see his beak going? I don't know if this is working. You like that? It's a piece of paper. You can do it for any of your things. It's a piece of paper. And you fold it over. And you create the same thing on both sides. And then you take your pencil and you roll it up. You're going to want to do this too, Jim. You roll it up. And then it like folds it like this. Then you put your pencil on there. And you move it back and forth. Old school animation. This is not computer animation anymore like you're going to see on Pixar. This is Mickey Mouse classic. You're welcome. Have a good night.